So if you are supposed to address a computer science student, what is the history of computing? How do you go? Where it started? One is what it says. Okay, or it's still written. But where the major things happen? But no, I'm talking about since last almost 50, 60 years. See, you have to think more outside, right? Suppose you are just addressing the gathering of students and some student says, okay, you are talking about AI, but what about the history? How it has evolved? Why AI comes and how AI is impacting on your existing computing, right? Because this is a technology which never like. So that's my question. What are the technologies you have got? What have you heard about? So what does people were doing in the 60s? DOS came later on. What people were doing in 1960s, 1970s? What kind of computers were there? These are all peripherals. You have not never heard the name called mainframes? A lot of mainframes, and what is the language which was used at that time on mainframes? They didn't use mainframe. Business people don't use assembly language. They will never do the work. So what is the language which was primarily used for business purpose? I think you need to sit in generative AI and do your English also practice. Because if you don't remember your mainframes, what's a COBOL, what is the COBOL was meant for? What it stands for? It was not for computation. What does COBOL stands for? The name itself suggests that. That is all meant for a business language. Have you seen a COBOL program at any point of time? No. You have not taken any pain as a computer science professor to look at what has happened, right? So my personal suggestion is, before you go into even AI, you should know how the AI has evolved, what are the other things that have evolved. So what happened in 1980s? That you mentioned. In 80s, what happened? See, all of you are engineers, right? Sorry to say, I don't want to, but as an engineer, we learn fundamentals. Like I still remember when I learned in 1987, 86, when I joined after my 12, all were there. Compilers were there, assemblers were there. There was there, system programming, I don't know whether you use it or all John Goldman's book, I still remember, which I used in system programming in 1987. E.M. Gandhare is unfortunately passed away because of a telling in computer science. IIT Bombay. Professor Sudarshan, you might have heard his books in DBS, in Lego, Platform. See, I still remember all these fundamentals, every week and day. These are the books we use, project basement for software. So, what happened in the 80s, where the computing changed? Automation is best. Automation, don't talk about that. Talk about 80s. In 1980s, what happened? What kind of, when this Mac came? I hope you have heard about Mac. When the Windows came, but before that, what we get out? DOS was sitting on what? Mainframes. So what was that? Personal computing, right? So a lot of PCs came in 80s. So if you say PCs came in 80s, what is next? Evolution was when the networking came, and what is the purpose of networking? What is networking? What is the role networking play? What's the fundamental advantage of networking? Suppose you have this room and every PC is a standalone PC. What's going to happen? Sharing not possible. Then distributed computing is not possible. Internet are not impossible at all. So when the network came, ATPs, ATPs, and which kind of operating systems were there for networking? Which are the operating systems? Which are networking operating systems? Actually, very big. Because so there was a knowledge layer kind of system. Basically, what is the fundamental difference between a DOS operating system and network operating system? People actually manages the computers over the network. So something is the server, something is the client. So in 85 onwards, a lot of networking which is made it possible that you can connect the computer, moment you connect the computer to the network. For example, I can just sit on one computer and access services from sharing between easy. When did internet came? It's like a general knowledge class of computer. Sorry, but it is important. See, we are just talking about the AI, but how we can leverage AI? We don't know how. And that's why sometimes we are doing wrong. People are thinking generative AI is only AI. That's not. AI has been there since 1986. Okay. So when the internet came, around what year? Sorry, but your students can be smarter than you. In IITs, we cannot afford it. We have to keep upgrading. Like I passed out in 1992. Now imagine if I don't read about the blockchain, if I don't read about the internet, what will happen? And all my people who are sitting in the class, they are all first class engineers. They will get unupgraded. And a professor who has come, professor, professor digital certificate, program, digital certificate, So प्रोफेसर को हमने पूछा ब्लॉकचेन कैसे काम करता है और साइबर सिक्योरिटी क्या होता है what will happen that is what indirectly so we are not like a maths and stats professor what is the advantage of being maths professor compared to computer science professor depends on not or a literature professor versus a computer science professor are they same or different? What do you think? So, had you been a maths professor versus your computer science professor? You cannot just keep your brain shut off, right? You have to keep learning. That is, in 1992, we had a elective called Windows programming. That means we used to write a code to create a radio button. Block boxes. That means what? It will completely right here connected to this line and anybody can and internet enabled lot of what business application, lot of internet models. Amazon without internet, Flipkart, can you imagine? Nothing. Nothing would have been possible. When you are like for example, like just 230, would not have been possible. Then next. After internet, something interesting came. So you have to be curious, as a computer science, charging curious what happened. I'm not even going back. I don't know, have you got about charge batteries? Charge batteries you must be. Then Ada Lovelace, she was the world's first programmer. Okay? So I'm not even going in 16 or 17, I'm just starting with that as well. So what happened after internet? What is the technology which changed the things? Okay. 16 years old, right? What did change then? When it started, around 97, 98, that time, we used to have a character-based tool. Like when I got my first Motorola, it was having just two characters, like this one. Like look at the terminals which were or computers which were there in 86, 87, they were just floppy drives and CRT. So what does events give? Power of this. What it made us possible? Mobility. What is mobility? I can be anywhere. I can still do the things, right? That means what? That is a small device. And now a lot of things are enabled. You can pay everything, right? It becomes a de facto, and it has killed a lot of other devices. Which other devices and things it has killed? It has killed GPS devices. It will create health devices. It will create a wallet also, right? Physical wallet and this one. That means I have one slide which says there are 8 things it killed, you know, as a mobile. That means what mobile gave us the power in your hand, because what computing power you had, this was not even available in mini computers, in 70s. This like, that time when I was doing my PhD, that time the machines were 100 megahertz machine. I'm talking about 96. Now 100 megahertz machine and neural networks, you can understand the patience you need, right? Because neural networks are a trial and error. You change the configuration and you have to change the number of hidden layers, change the number of neurons, and then rerun the thing with the different data sets. So it was really needed a lot of patience. And another thing happened with downside. You can just have a 4K. You imagine what is the 4K resolution or 2HD resolution. That time your BGA was a luxury. Having the only 680 by 480, 620 by 480 was a BGA. That was a luxury. But now it's still, okay, what's next? After mobile company working, it took us. But see, these are the technologies which change the computing forever. Okay. So what is another one? Something interesting. Your theme is actually, what is cloud, right? It was one of your theme. What cloud changed? What is the pain point before the cloud and what cloud changed fundamentally? See, if you want to learn something as a research, you should know the fundamentals. Otherwise, forget about big PhD. I'm sorry to say. Because if you want to do PhD in any subject, you go much deeper into code. So that's my. You can do a PhD by other means also, but that's not just time pass PhD. So if you want to do some serious stuff, you should know it. So what is the fundamental cloud computing change? What was the problem before cloud computing? Storage was there. Hard disk was there. What was the fundamental? What was the operation?
To make setting up the servers for one organization.
Okay. So one of the issue was like I had to buy my own technology and set up it. How do you want it? See, very simple example, electricity. Do we generate the electricity? No. We just rent it. So that means what? It has completely shifted from on-prem ownership to completely shared resources. Because it has just what a lot of people say moving from capex to opex. What is the capex in business company? That I spend a lot of money on buying hardware, software and everything. That means what? What's the problem with buying the technology as a technology manager? What I buy today becomes legacy tomorrow, right? That means I'm carrying a lot of risk. I cannot just foresee because some new technology comes in and it will just change. What I'm getting at 10 rupees, tomorrow I'm getting 2 rupees, right? And my things become this one. Another is managing the technology, right? Because when you have your own servers, you have your own network, everything, that means what? You need to upgrade, you need to take care of security, everything. That means it's not only buying the hardware and software, it was about maintaining, supporting this one. Now what happens? You just connect your laptop, job and it takes access. So you can have a storage as a service, you can have a computing as a service, that is what I just pay for what I'm using. And it enables huge storage also, right? Because I don't have to now, storage as a service means what? I don't have to, like Google uses, Gmail uses 15 GB, 15 GB is a big one, big data that way. Now if you wanted to do the same thing on big, what was the problem? You were not. So cloud computing solved a lot of problems. But then it brought another problem because when the technology comes, what is our problem at that time? But now they are all taken care of. What is the problem with cloud computing? Security, reliability, because my data is sitting somewhere, my data is not in me now. Right? And I don't know where the machines are, virtual machine, right? What is a virtual machine? It's a physical machine. It's something part of overall computing. I remember when we started working, one of the like drama.com, for a content generation. One day our VM got deleted. was on Amazon. Now, if I go to a code, what lawyer will do? Suppose I go with the case and say, okay, Amazon deleted my virtual machine. What will happen? Will the judge listen? Let's see what is meant by deletion. चोरी हो गया तो ठीक है, आपका चोरी हो गया, किसी ने तोड़ फोड़ कर दिया तो you can come. But virtual machine delete हो गया, it's what? Where the virtual machine exists, right? But what is the advantage of all these technologies? What is virtualization? What is virtualization? Why it is useful? Because cloud is basically a virtualization of this. So what is a virtualization basically? See, these are the core technologies which change. And if you want to use AI, you should know this technology. See, if you don't know how a car is built up, and उसके ऊपर AI डाल रहे हो, क्या AI डाल रहे हो? इंजन कैसे चलता है वो भी नहीं समझ, स्टीयरिंग कैसे घूमता है वो भी नहीं, और आप AI सीख रहे हो. This is what is happening. Is there some mockery of AI? I tell you, because in order to use AI anywhere, you have to understand where and how you are applied. So this is a mouse, and I don't make it intelligent. Can I make it without even understanding what is inside? Important, right? So when you are integrating AI, like for example, what is the relationship between AI and cloud computing? Okay, I'll come here. Let's finish first with cloud. So cloud computing solves a lot of problems. Of course, now these issues are taken care of because there are a lot of security, and you can have, for example, a lot of websites are going for SSTP protocol. Like you have a digital certificate so that browser immediately wants you, right? If there is no protocol SSTP, that means digital certificate is not there, it immediately. Okay, what is next? Because another pain it solves. See, imagine, suppose you wanted to say have a Windows 2007 on your machine. So tell me, as an IT manager, what's the first thing you need? You want to set up a lab, and you want to have, say, some IBM server. So what is the first way you find to get the hardware? On hardware, what do you need? You need to put an OS. Okay, whatever. How long it takes to install an OS? 1 hour, 2 hours. Right? How long it takes to set up a virtual machine? Of your choice. You can select the processor, you can select the RAM, you can select the OS. How long it takes? Have you ever configured on virtual machine? Do some practice, hands-on also. I do a lot of hands-on. I set up my own software, I set up my own network. You know, everything I do because but it just takes flat 5 minutes. But they have images, basic images. So you just go to Amazon and say, okay, you want, say for example, 8-core processor, you want 16 GB RAM, you want SSD, okay, select the configuration, next few minutes your machine is ready. See that? And you can even shut down it, right? You can configure, like whenever there is no problem. See, this is a like proper implementation of the resources, because when you are virtualizing the resource, what is virtualization? I have some hardware. Now I'm not allowing access to hardware, but I'm adding one more layer. So if somebody is not using, I can allocate those resources to somebody. This is a multi-tenancy, right? I can have my shop, or sometimes somebody will use it. That's a completely changed. Then next, after cloud computing, what is it? You think which actually changed a lot of things? Big data is part of, I don't count big data as a separate technology because whenever I use storage, big data comes. I'm talking about fundamental technology change. Right? Cloud, once you have a cloud, integration automatically comes, right? Because see, once you put this technology like mobile, you have to integrate your business. Like that means you have to have Android, iOS, right? Anyway, once somebody comes with this, ecosystem automatically comes in. That means people will develop app on that. There's an Android, there's an iOS, there's a Raspberry Pi, of course, not Raspberry Pi, this one. What is an operating system? For business purpose, I don't know. So that operating system was there, like before that. Then what about IoT? Is it a game changer? Because internet was a game changer, mobile computing was a game changer, cloud computing was a game changer, PC was a game changer. IoT, what makes IoT a game changer? Yeah, suppose I put a sensor here. Now what we do as a human being, we waste a lot of resources, right? We ऐसे चले जाएंगे ये सब ऑन करेंगे. In IITs, we have a classroom of 500 guys. Because some of the courses they are very popular. It's very good. Now imagine an attendant, it doesn't even switch off for next half an hour. And there are 25 ACs and hundreds of lights. What's the base? His base is more than his salary monthly is. Okay? Just he keeps half an hour. Then he's gone. Now if you have motion detector sensor, what will happen? Completely change, right? Because your motion detector will change that nobody is around, and you can have a distributed way also. Let me suppose there's only people sitting here, people sitting there, means I can have 3 distributed sensors. Or I can have a camera under it. Now what if this row it doesn't detect any movement, will switch off the lights. That means I'm optimizing my resources. Because as a human being we waste a lot of resources. So I would be, for example, I have a machine and I want to monitor that machine. You don't need a human being. You can have a computer vision, which you can have a inbuilt IoT or you can use cameras and also. So moving into the sensor, so if I put the sensor inside, what happens? But let's take this bottle comes with a sensor. What happens? Suppose it has a sensor which tells me where it is, it tells me what the water level is at. I can optimize it well. I can review only when it's required, right? Otherwise, why I will use? And I know where it is sitting, right? Because when you have a GPS, what is the advantage of GPS? What GPS signal has advantage? We know where the things are, right? It tells you. And if you have a near field communication, it's very it tells you very very proximate. Like you look up now Google map, it's very high precision. It even tells you the object which is just 1 or 2 meters. That means you know the location, you know this object. For example, you have sensors in the well. It takes like a lot of agriculture people have moisture sensor. What is the advantage of moisture sensor? That's what you are wasting. We are not wasting resources. It just only dispenses water when it's required. Otherwise, you know that Mali kya karta hai? Have you seen that? That's what we are all human beings are. Yes, I always debate. Machines will be much better than the human. Right? Why? Because they don't have any problem of. Can you drive a machine? Build a machine like you, say, okay, for example, it will work 24 hours because it doesn't have to worry about the salary. 24 hours, so no labor problem, like no union problems. Poor fellows will keep on working 3 shifts. We come with a lot of problems, right? And again, what is the advantage of machines? Machines have just only one identity. What is that? What is the identity of this or this one? Just some brand, right? Yes. So similarly, when you are buying the PC, it will have an HP and Intel inside. But then, what about us? They are born with a lot of standard, right? And then we fight on that. Okay? That's a problem. Machines, will they fight? They will not. So coming back to IoT, what IoT does, it actually optimizes resources like manufacturing 4.0 or sorry, industry 4.0. People are extensively using IoT, ML, cyber security because once you do a lot of automation, it improves the productivity. Because there's no manual intervention. In fact, Amazon, I made one of the recently. Amazon wants almost everything with a 0 human intervention. They don't want people in their warehouses. In fact, they need a babysitter for robots. Look at their videos. They're not. By the way, my personal suggestion is, at least in my PPT, I have been using videos since more than 20 years. So my personal suggestion is not to say, teach the concept like virtualization. Take a nice limited video, play the video, because it helps the student to understand better. Here you can do, but then you can teach them from a practical aspect. Take some CTOs interview or CEOs how they are using technology. So that actually helps the student to understand how virtualization is helping business guys, how it reduces low cost. So virtualization, what are the advantages of this one? Say again, have you heard about the thin client technology? Say takes that kind of this one. What is it? Like, have you heard about Raspberry Pi? You have a Raspberry Pi and you have a monitor and keyboard. In fact, we literally did one of the assignments we did for 1 month in our agriculture research. We ran 10 machines with just Raspberry Pi, monitor, wireless keyboard, and repair. How much it would have costed? Suppose you want to do, say, you have got some assignment, and that assignment is your 10 people to be sitting there. Now, what you would have done? You have bought some 10 laptops or something. Now, what is the cost of your? Suppose 10 machines you want to have. Approximate cost, suppose even if you buy an assembled machine, how much of cost? 30,000 days, minimum 30. But like I'm saying bare minimum, you will have a server. So 30 to that is 3 lakhs rupees. Again, you connect cable and you maintain. Now suppose you are buying a Raspberry Pi device. Entry level device you can get it 2,500. Okay, it has an HDMI, it has Wi-Fi, it has an OS, everything. You need a browser-based solution. You know? Now, what does it mean by that? You are actually running every terminal, just monitor cost, keyboard cost, that is not more than 7,000. Multiply by this one, that means how much of say. Not only that, you can just carry it weekly, because that Raspberry Pi device is very small device, so it's an energy this one, right? Because you are not very small. That means inclined technology is a wonderful technology. Another advantage is it saves you a lot of paper. See, when you are an IT manager, you will not realize the pain of them. You know, we are all professors who don't understand what pain all these business guys, because they have to make the show running, right? Now, what is the problem? When you have laptops and you have antiviruses, you have a lot of your security you have to take care of. But when you have a inclined technology, everything is on the server. That means what? You don't have to worry about security on that part, because it's taken care of. Okay, so IoT, and IoT is now almost everywhere. There are billions of devices which are actually going, and it will optimize this. Then, what about blockchain? But blockchain has not come as a mainstream by like internet, like mobile computing, but I think some of you must have heard about blockchain, right? What is blockchain problem solved? What is the problem? Why blockchain came into it? Security system will there, right? You have all, private key, public key, you have encryption, lot of algorithms were there. But why it was required? What kind of problem is solved? So what happens when you have multiple players in the system? See what happens, suppose whatever, when you go to a Starbucks, so when you go to a Starbucks and you are having a coffee, and you want to know if coffee that you are having is a genuine coffee or not. Or when you are getting a contract, whether this contract is genuine or not. So because it moves to the value chain, like what's the value chain? People buy the things, people manufacture and people ship them. Like how the cars are manufactured. Like they source lot of components, they assemble the car, they ship to the distributor, it goes to the retailer and like this. So in one side, your raw material and everything is gets manufactured. That is what when my ingredient is going from this to the end customer, whether it's the same or something else, land records. Is that a real land records or something? See what happens in multi-layer ecosystem, when you want to secure the things, you need a different kind of like smart contract. You might have a blockchains are used for smart contract. That means you cannot just change the contract because it's not portable. Once you set something, you cannot change it. So blockchain is more distributed setup. That means it's not only one place security, there are multiple people who manage them. So it becomes much easier. And then came, what happened? Have you heard about this paper, the attention is everything? Attention, what you mean? No, generative AI, how it started? How many are using AI? How many people are working on AI? So there was a paper in 2017, that was by Google researcher, and this is the most cited paper. Let me just guess how many citations this paper must be having. Just guess it. You are all researchers, right? Citation you need. How many? Just guess it. It was 8,82,000 citations just 2 months. That is the complete foundation of generative AI. Because have you heard about natural language processing? Okay, what is the problem in NLP before generative AI? You might have heard about the chatbots and this one. The problem is context was not met. Because LSTM, what is the problem with this? They have a shorter memory. But now you see the context. You can go very big context there. This can have pages and still understands where you come from, how you are moving. That means if I go to ChatGPT now, it understands I'm a professor, I have been using ChatGPT since 2 years. I have a startup, I am working on classical AI, what are the techniques? It has a fair understanding. I just pay it, you pay a website for me, in just 5 minutes you create a website. Because that's a context it is building. That was not possible in natural language processing. And what generative AI is, it actually not only generates the content also. Like it has changed. What was that paper basically was like when you have a larger text, how you can connect the things. That means suppose I write, my friend Akash visited me yesterday and he was telling me that he's learning something. Now when I say he, what is meant by that? That means when you are writing the context, it actually connects the dot. So I say he likes an apple, and I make another. He also likes an apple. What is meant by that? Is it an apple? Oh, no, it's an apple. So when you say apple, suppose you are discussing about the foods, and I say, okay, you like apple, or he likes apple. That means what? You are talking about now apple food. But suppose we are actually discussing about vegetables or discussing about recipes or cooking, and we say he likes apple. That means what? The apple word is common, but is more contextual. So what generative AI does, it picks up a lot of context because the moment you say, for example, I'm so and so, that's what I do in the class. What I do in the class, I remember one of the, sorry, my laptop is not so. So one of the participants actually asked me, I'll just tell you this way. She changed the comfort level, I will leave some of the slides, that I just telling one slide. This was the slide I had more than, sorry, I have more than 400 slides on it. So look at this. This was the slide I was, this was the slide I was discussing. Very simple predictive analysis. I wanted to, because I covered classification, clustering, all these algorithms from business. So one lady said, sir, what is this wise program expertise all about? Because she was not from mass background. Because when we teach to practitioners, somebody marketing, somebody, they are coming from a different background. They come from a different discipline also. Somebody is working in a BFSI, manufacturing, like, because they are from a medical also. Now what I have done, I just took this screenshot. I went to ChatGPT. I explained ChatGPT, look, I'm a layman, I don't understand maths. My professor has this slide and is trying to teach me something bicycle damages. It explained almost in 5, 6, 8 more pages very nicely what professor is trying to say, what is meant by training data, what is meant by listening data, what is why, what is and. That is what now during the class, if somebody has a difficulty, have you seen in LinkedIn there is an interesting advertisement coming? AI backed whiteboard. So she just writes something and it just creates an equation and everything. That is what now you can substantiate your lot of learning. In fact, you see a lot of my this is a problem. I think this was a pretty problem. See, now look at these slides. Look at this. Do you think I have wrong them? Okay, I have wrong them. Check. Now what is the advantage? When you are explaining the things, it becomes much easier and you can add your own thing. So as a professor, one of the again, since the context came, what is the advantage? When now a lot of your presentation get back, redesign back, challenge. I'm doing a lot of my code. In fact, you see, I'm just paying 2,300 and my suggestion is go for a paper. Don't be Pennywise pound foolish. Because you can get a lot of work done in 2,000. Approximately how much of work I am getting done by ChatGPT, it's not less than 1 lakh dollars. Because I'm getting a lot of code written, a lot of activities written, a lot of such diagrams drawn, lot of, like I was talking about in Excel, right? That work we have, see, imagine if I'm spending, see, we charge as IIT faculty, we sometimes charge minimum 1 lakh per day. That was some 7-8 years back. Now, can I afford to spend 6-7 hours on something which is not going to value added, right? I told you that example. 125 people attended the exam. There were 25 questions, 2 questions, that means 50 questions in LM, multiply by 125. It could have taken at least 5-6 hours. Now what I mean, that means if you value your time, see, that's why if you listen to this Kunal Shah, you know who is Kunal Shah? He's now leading WhatsApp India. He's an entrepreneur. He's a crazy person. He said, if you are wasting your 1 hour, you can value that 1 hour and do something. That means imagine it saves your 5 hours and if you are doing something else in that 5 hours, after 2000 तो ऐसे ROI हो गया है, एक दिन में, right? And you use it for days together for your research purpose, anything. Because it does a lot of things, right? It's not used in my my laptop is not there, otherwise I am showing all my ChatGPT sessions, right? From teaching, research to entrepreneurship, because I'm working on one of the interesting instruments. But what I'm saying now here, what is the advantage? What I'm telling here, when you are online and some student asks you any question, what is your advantage? You can just check it there and they will say, and look at it. Another, what I suggest is when you are teaching, don't use the blackboard. Don't need a whiteboard, right? So you want to teach a DBMs or you want to teach a data structure or object-oriented programming. Do you think that you should go by a traditional way, place class, inherited class, and spend time? Now suppose you are teaching activity and again, what is the advantage? When you are teaching, you can take the problem context and explain the thing, which was not possible before. Because I have taught data structures. I'm talking about 94, 93. When I was, after my master's, I was teaching Bachelor in Computer Science. I was teaching data structure and programming languages. So now what is the fundamental difference when you are teaching the data structure? I don't think you have to teach the same way you were teaching, right? Because you can increase the productivity. You can say, okay, let's take one interesting problem today and learn the data structures. Or you want to learn the DBA. So what I would do? But that's what I do. When I said, okay, let's take a problem. Let's take a hypothetical company. Say, take a company. Because when you are a commerce guys, their understanding is different than the engineers. So you have to actually change the context. That's what a person.